So good morning and welcome to a lovely sunny bright day. Now, as you might know from some of the previous videos, we were trying to build a American themed railroad. Unfortunately, some of the storms over Christmas put paid to that. As you'll see now, it's ruined the inside of the summer house, broken a lot of the rolling stock, and the roof is a mess. So the electrics, I'm going to repair all the electrics as well. So that's what I'm currently working on where the summer house is concerned. In the meantime, I'm going to build up a test track. Now it's going to be modular because it's going to be set up in the flat that I'm currently working out of. So it's going to be made of two boards, perhaps a third to just extend it a bit. But at the moment, it's purely for me to have a model railway running, also test the trains and test the rolling stock I'm getting them repaired, make sure they run all right, and also honing my skills on model railway building, which I really haven't done for a few years now. So I need to be rusty on that. So I'm going to get on building these boards. I'm going to show you that. What I will show you is where I've got to repairing the summer house. So there you go. That's about as far as I've got with that so far. Got to get that roof done, then the electrics, and then everything else. Anyway, that's for another day, and then that's where the model railway will end up sitting, or it might end up sitting in the garden. We still don't know yet. Anyway, I'm going to get on building these boards, and then by the magic of television, the next time you'll see it, this will be all up at the flat. So here we are back at the flat. As you can see, here are the two boards all framed up and on legs. They are a bit of an unusual size because they are basically offcuts from a project for the house a long time ago. So just to give you some figures, they are 1450 millimetres long, 550 wide, give me an area of 1450 by 1100. That's more than adequate for what this is going to be used for. Timber framing is 1x3s, and the legs were the only things that were bought new. Everything else on this layout is things I've managed to scrounge, shall we say, from various locations around the house. Now the legs are from IKEA. They're £2.50 each. I'll put a link to the make and model of them. What makes them really good is they actually come in two parts. There's a metal disc that attaches to the other side of the table, board, whatever you're going to be using it for. That screws into that, and then the legs screw into those metal discs, which is great when you're trying to move a model railway around. They're also slightly adjustable enough to be able to level baseboards, which is what I do have to do with these. These are roughly 1 millimetre, 2 millimetres out. That's down to the framing. The frame is not quite 1x3. It is on, I've measured it on one of them, it is, on the other one it's not quite. So I think one's got imperial measurements, one's got metric measurements, so they're not quite the same. So I've had to level it a little bit using the extensions of the legs. which is great. So those two balls have been levelled. Currently, they're joined together by a pair of G-clamps, which I'll just show you there. That's holding the two boards together right now. Now you might see over my shoulder some track. Again, that's coming out of the loft. I've managed to actually gather together quite a bit of track from years ago. You can imagine it wasn't in the best of state, so there's a track rubber on there, you might be able to see. Rubbing those tracks down and getting them cleaned. So I've used any rail to produce a very simple test track layout, a little oval. So we're going to get all these tracks together, see how they get on the board. You'll notice one of them has been wired up already. I've cheated a bit. I've used it's one of the other things I bought for about £1, £2 I think it was, pre-wired rail joiners. Pre-wired rail joiners. So that's that. That little controller box there is an old DC box. That goes back about 20 years, it must do. I have tested it because it's what I use on my rolling road, so I know it works. So let's get this track work together, get it on the board, and let's see if we can get some trains running, shall we? Right, so there we go. So just a cutting mat's going to go under here, like that. Let's have a look. There we go. Track rubber. That's all plugged in. Right, good. Right, so it's down. It's down. There's power to the track. Let's see if one of those locomotives behind me can actually run on the track. Now I know these two are actually good locomotives. They actually do work because I've had them on the rolling road. There's no problem with these. So if there's a problem with them, it'll be the track or the wiring I've just done. Let's try and grab one and see what happens. Let's grab my 31. Let's put it on the outer track. It's on. Moment of truth time. Helps if I set the points. Oh, I can't reach. There we go. Right, okay, it should be right now. Yay! Ooh. Right one there. Oh. Yeah, like I say, it would help. Let's try that again, shall we? Oh, hang on. Come on, be professional. There, right. Let's try that again, shall we? Oh, off you go. Let's see if we can get it to do a circuit at least. There we go. Going back in the shot in a second. Oh, little one. There you go. appear to have lost all power. Hang on, what's going on there? I didn't have that connected properly. Give me 1 sec. Okay, let's try that again. Let's get around that. Right, let's try that again. Come on, mate. Yeah, that one's gone. Okay, let's try again. Okay. And off we go. Let's try again. Off you go. We'll get there in the end. Come on, everyone. Go on, let's do a circuit. Yay! Hello. Right. Give it another circuit and then we'll try it on the inner line. Make sure the inner line's actually connected together. The rail joiners were properly connected if you didn't already gather. Let's try that on the inner line. Right, spin round. We'll try the DMU. See make sure the DMU is working. There we go. Alright, turn that off. Set points. There we go. Right. Get the DMU on. Now you would have seen this on one of my previous videos because this was bought at the Birmingham show last year. This one was bought at Doncaster a few months ago. Right, it's on. Should only get the DMU going. This should now be isolated. So let's just check. There we go. I think that's successful. Right, good about and I'll explain what next. Right, so we know it all works, which is a good thing. Now, what I've got to do now is got to make sure that these boards don't separate. So I've got or found in my workshop some alignment dowels which I must have bought years ago. So I'm going to use those. Now I can't remember where I bought these from, but loads of different people, manufacturers make their own versions of these alignment dowels. So I'm going to show you how that goes on. There's 4 of them because I've joined on the long edge on these boards, so there's going to be 4 alignment dowels, and then we're going to be putting on some loose pin hinges. I've got 2 of them, and they're going to go on the long edge as well, just to hold these boards tightly together. Now, normally I would put these long loose pin hinges probably under the board to hide them out of sight. This is just a test board for testing my locomotives while I'm working on them, repairing them, and give them a good run out on a small oval. Apart from the fact it gives me a model railway for the first time in years. So it doesn't matter if I mount them on the top of the board, because it really doesn't matter. So I'll show you how that's all going to be done. So we'll take the track off now that we know it all works. Once that's all done, then we'll work on the fact that we've now got to get the track aligned when these two boards come together. Now I've got some ideas about how I'm going to do that. And also, one of the other plans for this is that this is going to be a switchable between DC and DCC. So I'll be able to work on programming and installing DCC chips into locomotives on the inner track, and I'll be using my excuse me, rolling road as well to make sure this is all working. The outer line will be used mainly to just give them a good run. So I'm thinking that I might independently switch these. So the outside line will be a DC line or DCC. Same with the inner line. Depends what I'm working on at the time. That's what I want. I want to have a lot of flexibility here. That's the reason why the cutting map's here. I do have some cork underlay. I don't know whether I'm going to install it on this. I'm undecided. It would cut down the noise, obviously, but as this is just a test line for me to test things out and make sure things work and hone my skills, so to speak, I might decide to do it. I don't know. I've also got some track screws as opposed to track nails as well. So probably at the ends of the lines where the join is, they'll probably be screwed down as opposed to nailing down. I'm also going to experiment with copy decks to glue the track into place rather than screw it into place. Haven't used that before, so that'll be an interesting experiment. And obviously all the wiring's got to go in. Now I do have a wiring diagram which I'll go through when we go through the wiring part of this layout, and how this is all going to be wired together and where the switches are going to go and everything else. And there'll be proper insulating rail joiners on the inner line as well. I know the points isolate the inner line, but we'll do it properly. So we'll end this part of the video with watching some of these trains run around this line. So I'll bring the camera down to a much lower level so that you can see it. So let's have a look at some of these trains running just for a second before we then get on with the hard work of getting these boards properly joined up.